Hello and welcome back. Today we're talking about 4.3, multiplying polynomials. So when you have two binomials, that's where we're going to start. Okay, we're going to use what's called the FOIL method. Now, the key here is that this only works when you have two binomials. If you have anything other than two binomials, then you just have to remember you multiply everything on one by everything in the other. But when you have binomials, you can use the FOIL method, which stands for first, outside, inside, last, which is just a method to make sure that you're multiplying each thing and the first one by each thing and the second one. Now there are some special products here, and that's gone over on page 175, okay, that if you have a plus b squared, right, that equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. And if you have a minus b squared, that's a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. And if you have a plus b times a minus b, that means that just simplifies down to a squared minus b squared. Now, you're going to learn some more of these along the way, but they're very helpful at times. And as you go into higher level mathematics, a lot of these, both factoring and then multiplying out, right, of polynomials, knowing these little shortcuts can be immensely helpful. So let's take a look at number one. Okay, number one is not one of our special cases, right? We don't have an a plus b times a minus b, or a plus b times a plus b, or any of those types of situations. So that means we just have to use that method. So I'm going to first multiply the 2a times 3a, which gives me 6a squared. Then 2a times 4 gives me plus 8a. Then I'm going to do negative 5 times 3a, which gives me a negative 15a. And then negative 5 times 4, which gives me a negative 20. At this point, I just want to combine like terms. I have this positive 8a and this negative 15a, so that gives me 6a squared, and then the positive 8 negative 15 gives me a negative 7a minus 20. Okay, number two. Okay, this is one of the special products we talked about, so I know that this just equals a squared plus 2ab plus b squared, where a is 3c and b is 2. So this is just simply going to be 3c squared plus 2 times 3c times 2 plus 2 squared. So that's going to give me, right, 3c squared is 3 squared, which is 9, and then c squared, plus 2 times 2 is 4, times 3 is 12, so that gives me 12c, and then 2 squared is 4, so plus 4. Now you could FOIL that out, and some students prefer to do it that way, but it is helpful to know these formulas so you can work your way back and forth. Okay, number three. This is an a plus b times a minus b situation, where a is 4k and b is 7. So if we look up above, we know the plus and minus. This just gives us an a squared minus b squared. So again, this just saves time to do it this way. You can do it the other way if you would like. It just takes longer, and there are certainly times where this will be extremely helpful. Okay, so once we take our a squared minus b squared, okay, 4 times 4 is 16, and then k squared minus 7 times 7 is 49. Now this next one, notice this isn't a binomial times a binomial. This is a binomial times a trinomial, which means we can't just FOIL. Because if we just FOIL, we only get 4. Okay, we need to make sure we get all 6, because there's 2 in one and 3 in the other. So we have to multiply this out. 3x times x squared gives me 3x cubed. 3x times 2x gives me plus 6x squared. 3x times a negative 6 gives me a negative 18x. Then I have 1 times x squared, so plus x squared. 1 times 2x, so plus 2x. And then 1 times a negative 6, so minus 6. So now it's just like what we did before, where we want to combine like terms. So this 3x cubed is our only cube term. Then we have 6x squared plus x squared, which gives us 7x squared. Then we have minus 18x plus 2, that leaves us with minus 16x. And then the 6 over here is the constant at the end, right? It's the only one we have, so we just leave it as minus 6. And that's our answer. Okay, for number 5, okay, we have this part, right, which is one of our special products, and then we have this r squared out in front. And because, right, multiplication is commutative, we can multiply in any order we want. We can do this part first, then multiply it by our r squared. So here, when we have our r, right, this is just like a plus b, right, times a minus b. So this is really r squared times, and then this is going to be r squared minus 1 squared, which is really just r squared times r squared minus 1. So if we then distribute the r squared to both parts, right, r squared times r squared is r to the 4th minus r squared. Okay, and then last but not least, we have another one. This is a trinomial times a binomial. So again, we just need to multiply each part in this side by each part on this one. So we have our x squared times x, which is x cubed, x squared times y, which is x squared y. Then we have negative 2x times x, which is negative 2x squared y. Then the negative 2x times y gives me negative 2x y squared. Then we do y squared times x, and that gives us plus x y squared. And then y squared times y, which gives me y cubed. So at this point now we've multiplied it all out. It's just a matter of combining like terms. So we need to go through and say, okay, we have this plus xy here. We have this negative 2xy here. So let's see, we have our x cubed, we'll bring that down. Then here we have positive 1, negative 2, so that's a negative x squared y. And then here we have a negative 2 and a positive 1, so those combine to a negative xy squared. And then we're just left with our y cubed at the end. So that is our answer. There's no more simplifying that can be done. So if you have any questions, make sure you let me know. Good luck on your homework.